The Baltimore Ravens are on the clock for the final time in the 2025 NFL draft. I highly doubt they're acquiring any more picks. This is their 11th draft selection. There's a lot of really good players still on the board. There's a lot of different positions and ways the Baltimore Ravens could go with this pick. But in the comment section down below, let me know your favorite pick, your takes on all the draft selections, but most importantly, who we take here. This is my live reaction to the final pick. But I posted every single reaction so far. There was a ton of videos today, like 7 or maybe even 8 reaction videos of just who the Ravens selected. So check out those videos for my instant reaction. I will have a full draft analysis out tomorrow. And then I will probably also tomorrow have a full UDFA player tracker. Now, if the UDFAs aren't all signed, then it'll probably be Monday when that video gets released. But very excited to see who the Ravens do draft here. Some of my favorite players in the class are still available. One of them, Jay Higgins, linebacker out of Iowa. I know we took Teddy Buchanan, but just getting more depth at the linebacker spot, more competition is good. We could obviously go offensive line, never have enough depth. Same thing with corner. I know a lot of people love Kobe Bryant, myself included. Big interception player out of Kansas. He's still available. Wide receiver position, ESPN says the top rated wide receiver still available is Isaiah Bond, kind of a speedster, but he ran really slowly. So I highly doubt we draft him. My favorite wide receiver would be Nick Nash out of South Dakota State, or not South Dakota, San Diego State. San Jose State. Third tries the charm. San Jose State, the Spartans or the Trojans. It's one of the two. But he won the Triple Crown last year, 6'3". There's a lot of big bodied wide receivers. I know we took LeJounte. He's more of a smaller slot receiver and punt/kick returner. He also said he's a big hype man. Huge fan of that pick. I'll talk about that one a little bit later as well in the full draft analysis video. But there's a ton of different players that they could go. And I feel like maybe one tech is the spot. I like the guy out of Georgia. If we're looking at a one tech, the guy from Georgia would be my pick. He's like 6'5", 330 pounds, but just a menace on the defensive side. And Kanata Mumfield goes to Pittsburgh. I really like Kanata Mumfield, actually. I think that's a solid pick for them. Really good contested catch maker, but also does have a little bit of nuances that he needs to work on. Needs to get a little bit better in terms of separation. But this isn't a Kanata Mumfield draft. That is somebody that I scouted a lot, though. I do really like him. Shout out to him for getting drafted. But I'd love to see Nick Nash go for the Baltimore Ravens. I think that'd be kind of the best pick they could possibly make. However, there's a lot of good players out and still available. And the Ravens have a ton of space for UDFA. So make sure to come back for the UDFA analysis. That's usually my favorite video to make all year because none of those guys really get a lot of shine. And it's usually about a 15, 20-minute video. I think one year it might have even been 30 minutes long. That's how many UDFAs we had. Logan Brown is also an offensive lineman out of Kansas, allowed 0 sacks last year. I do really like his game. Jared Ivey, if we want to go with an edge, he's terrific. The Ravens pick is already in. They did do it pretty quickly, just waiting for them to announce that they're too busy eating pumpkin pie. But at the same time, I'm a big pumpkin pie fan, so I'm not going to disrespect ESPN too much. I do love me some pumpkin pie. My favorite pie. I also love coconut cream. We're done talking about pies. Let's talk about the picks. Mel's best available is popping up, but overall, I'm really happy with how this draft has gone. I think I doubt a pick that we take here is going to give me an outrage. Now, I'd probably be most excited for Jared Ivey or Nick Nash. But I mean, there's a ton of talent still there. Hopefully, it's somebody that I've scouted. Sometimes they draft players that I haven't scouted. This year, I feel like I scouted the most players I ever had. I felt like I knew. I had not watched a lot of Wester. That was a guy I'd watched Colorado, but I hadn't scouted Wester. So that was kind of the one guy that I really just didn't know a ton about his game off the dome. But with the 243rd pick in the NFL draft, the Baltimore Ravens have selected Garrett Dellinger out of LSU, a guard. Looks like he missed the final 4 games with an ankle injury. I'm going to pull up his PFF stats right now to know his penalties and things like that. But going with an offensive lineman, that does not surprise me. Going with a teammate of Emory Jones is also pretty interesting. want to make sure I spell his name right. Dellinger. There we go. But looks like he only had 2 penalties and almost 2,000 career snaps. 0 sacks allowed last year, but again, only 7 games. 1 sack allowed the year before in 13 games. Played left guard over at LSU, and 6'5", 322 pounds. But the left guard spot is something that's good to keep an eye on. That's a position that we don't know who's going to start. Patrick McCarry did leave. Having somebody that has left guard experience to battle for that spot is very beneficial because, yes, we might have Emory Jones trying to fit in at one of the guard positions, but he hasn't played guard. He's a tackle. What are we going to do with our depth? Maybe we have Andrew Voorhees slide in. He wasn't terrible when he did play at left guard last year, but having just more competition for guys that are familiar with the position, that have done well at the position, I think is very beneficial. I think it's a good pick. And it's, again, we don't want to draft all linemen that we want to convert to guard, right? Getting a guy that's a true guard, I think, is smart. Because if we had gone with a guy like Logan Brown, who's a tackle that will probably play guard in the NFL, that's just another transition, right? We want someone that knows the position, can step in right away, and we don't have to worry about, how are his left side of the line, set in terms of the guard position. We don't have to worry about that. We know it's good. We know what he can do. No sacks last year, no hits last year, only 1 sack the year before, and 2 penalties in his career is very good. I really like this pick. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for more. I hope you enjoyed, once again, the NFL Instant Reaction Draft Series. Check out all the other vids. And I'll see all of you again tomorrow with a full draft analysis, unless maybe the Ravens trade back in and they get another draft pick. But I highly doubt it. Thank you so much. See you again next time.